Muted. So we'll try it again. Hi. Hopefully you can hear me. Said I was muted, so I don't know. So I just wanted to jump on. This is Sunday, so this is a super sassy Sunday. Like Melinda said, she suggested that because I was always doing them on Sundays instead of Mondays, and it was Marvelous Monday, and that didn't work out. So if I have something extra to tell you, I call it Marvelous Monday and throw it in another one on Monday. But this is Super Sassy Sunday, and it is gorgeous out. It is just beautiful. I've been out ever since church and been doing things around the yard, and we went to Kelowna, Iowa yesterday and bought a bunch of plants and stuff. It's quite a ways away, but they're just gorgeous. So I was out working with some of those. So it's a beautiful day in central Iowa. So, but I wanted to jump on and do a little something different today. This is kind of a tool lesson, I guess. I've had several people purchase the 12-inch trimmer from me recently, and some of them have been from away, and so I haven't gotten to really work with them and show them all about the tool. So I thought today I would get out my trimmers. I have two. I have a white one and a blue one. I had to get the blue one when it came out, you know. So I have two of them, and I'm going to show you some of the little things that you may not know about it. And some of you that have had a trimmer for a long time, if you haven't been to a lot of my crops or anything, you may not know some of these things either. So I am going to switch it down here. And hopefully you can see my trimmers here now. And like I said, I have a white one, which was my original one, and then I have a blue one. When they came out with the blue ones, I got the blue one. But they're both basically the same thing, just a different color. This one squeaks a little more, but a lot of things are really, really special about these trimmers. They were worried when they came out at the price point, but they made a quality product, which you can tell when you use it. And I highly recommend this trimmer. If you have not gotten the trimmer, you need a trimmer, this is the one to buy. And I've heard this from many people from many different businesses that this is one of the best trimmers they've ever used. So let's get into it a little bit. Okay, so we have just the basic trimmer. This is the blade unit here where you can exchange blades. Just clips right down. You can see on this one I've made a line across the top just with a magic marker or a black marker just to extend the white lines that are on the side. I tip it up here, hopefully. You can see that there's a white line here and a white line here. And that's in the center of this housing unit. And it's 1 inch from this edge to the white line and 1 inch from the white line to this edge or this edge to the white line. So this is a 2 inch housing unit and 1 inch is in the middle. In the middle where that white line is, or I brought it up across where my black line is here, is where when you press down, your blade is going to start cutting. So you can see exactly where that blade is going to start cutting, okay? So on this side of the trimmer, see it here, there's the inch markers, the lineups here. So when you're wanting to cut something and stop at 5 inches, say, so wherever 5 is here, I can't see right here. So if you want to stop at 5 inches, you're cutting a piece of paper and you want to stop at 5 inches. Okay, you can, hold your finger there if you want to and bring the blade down and then release it when you get to your finger. Or you already know that it is 1 inch from this where your blade is to the edge of the housing unit. So if you come down and you press down clear until you get to the 6 and then release it, you're going to release the blade at 5. And this is kind of the way that we do a lot of the what we call gutting of the paper or framing of our pages. We, we'll want a 1 inch frame, but we want to save that paper that's in the middle, and that's how we do that. And I like to use our little CM clips. So if I'm going to start and want a 1-inch frame, actually the easiest way to do a 1-inch frame is just remember that the ends, it's 1 inch from the cutting line to the ends of your housing unit. You're going to always put it on the measurement that you want the frame on your cutter. So if you want a 1-inch frame, you're going to put it on 1. If you want a 1.5, you can put it on 1.5. That's a whole nother tutorial here that I'm doing. But just to show you that if you want to start cutting at 1, you're going to put your housing unit at 2, and then you can just put a clip back here on the grid and one down here wherever you want to stop at. And it makes it a really quick and easy way to not have to worry exactly where to stop and start every time. So that's, like I said, it's a whole nother tutorial doing the gutting the papers in itself. So this is your housing unit. You now know that it's 2 inches, 1 inch from the line here, 1 inch from the line back here. You know that you have a whole measurements of 0 to 12.25 inches. Measurements on here that you can go by. Obviously, this is the guide that your blade housing unit slides on. And then when we open it up, we're going to see this gray strip here. A little grass from doing some garden work there. So this pops out, and you actually have 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4 that you can cut on. And they're all numbered, so you can kind of keep track of them. This is your mat. Now, the mats need to be replaced, and you can do about 500 cuts on each one of the lines, okay? So if your cuts are getting maybe not quite as sharp as they should be, look and check your mat. If you can run your fingernail down in the groove, over here are some that I've already used, I can run my fingernail right down that groove, you need to be flipping your mat or changing over to the other side. So, you know, if it's in here like this, you can take it and just flip it this way. Or if you've used both of those, you can flip it over and use it this way. So you have 4 different actual cutting areas that you can use on your mats before you have to replace them. Now, I don't know exactly how many cuts the blades are supposed to do, the straight blade, and that's going to be the one that you use the most, obviously. I have found that I go through about 2 mats, 1.5 to 2 mats before I need to change my blade. If you just changed your mat, have a brand new mat in there, and all of the, you know, it's still cutting a little rough, it's time to change your blade. And you will put a new blade in there and it will cut just as smooth as butter again. So those are just some kind of hints on, you know, if you're not getting the cut you want. Another thing is also when you press down not hard, because you shouldn't have to press down hard, but just firmly and evenly, clear across the whole cut, you know, real even. I have found, actually, this one isn't too bad. This one's worse now, but you need to always have your cutter on a flat, smooth surface. Don't set it over your cutting mats, your 13 by 13 cutting mats. Don't put it over that and try to cut on it. You will bend your cutter eventually. I did it for a long time. And it just kind of, like this one, it just gave it a little bit of a warp to it. And so, you know, you have to hold this down when you cut, kind of. So it needs to be on a level surface when you're using it. I always thought maybe my feet were kind of messed up underneath here, because it does have feet underneath here. But just always use a level table surface. Don't put it over things or under things or whatever. Just always use a level surface and you'll be fine. So we have our numbers all crossed up here. From the cutting line to your right, when you've got it sitting in front of you like this, you can go up to 1.75 inches on this side. Now, I like to do that a lot when I am using big pieces of paper and just need an inch cut or 1.5 inch cut, because it gives it so much more stability on this side. You've got a bigger area. Whereas if you come over here and you cut, at an inch, you've got a lot, you don't have much of your paper on a stable surface. A lot of it's hanging over here. So if it's a short, a narrow cut from an inch to an inch and a half, inch and 3/4, you can do it over here and have all this sturdiness to your paper while you're doing it. As well as you can bring out the arm, and that gives you up to 16 inches of sturdiness. Another thing on the arm is there is a foot down here. It just pops down and then back up, which gives it even more of a sturdy surface. So if you're cutting a 12-inch piece of paper, it gives it more of a sturdy thing instead of, if that's up, you've got a little give. It kind of bounces around a little bit. Okay, so that's your arm and your little foot under your arm, and then it just tucks right back up inside of here. It clicks into place. Your measurements up here will go to 5.5, going right to the edge of this is 5.5. Okay, it's kind of difficult when you pull this arm out and stuff to see that, but that's 5.5 right there. From your cutting line, which will be the one on the left, okay, from your first cutting line to the next cutting line is 1/8 of an inch. So if you need a really tiny 1/8 of an inch cut, you can go from that first line to the second line. Okay. The next is a 1/4 inch, and your 1/4 inch is right along the edge of that gray mat. Okay, so right along the edge of that gray mat is 1/4 inch. I should have a piece of blank paper to show you this instead of a piece of cardstock here. So if I line it up right here on the edge of that gray mat and cut it, I'm going to have a 1/4 inch piece of paper. Okay. Then when you move it on over to this first line that goes all the way down, that's a 1/2 inch. So for the first line, going all the way down, will get you a 1/2 inch. And my gals like that, but they kind of tend to forget about it. Now, which one is it? Where do I go for a 1/2 inch? So that's a good reminder. Just the one that goes all the way up and down is your first one is a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch is right to the edge of your mat. Okay, 5.5 is clear out here. Okay, a few other things about your trimmer. You'll notice that we have a 45-degree angle on here. So you'll probably see a lot of advisors doing diamond shapes and all that kind of thing, and they will use the 45-degree angle, or just to cut a piece of paper, something on the 45-degree angle. Let's say that we wanted to do corners on a frame on our page. You just line this up with a 45-degree angle, put your cut or your corner right on the cut line, and there you'll have a beveled corner that you can use. See it? So you can do that like on all the corners and have a match up where it looks cool. Okay, so that's another thing, is the 45-degree angle that most trimmers don't have, but we do. You'll also see 3x3, 4x6, 4.5x6.5, and 5x7 highlighted in darker colors. So if you're doing, a 3x3 mat or something, it's just easy. You don't have to worry about, oh, do I have it right at 3? Just put it in that corner where the 3x3 is, and you'll be good. Okay. There's also the measurements at the bottom, and also centimeters are on top and bottom, although we don't use those much here. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something else on here that people forget are here. Okay, so I am going to mark my piece of paper here that I have a line. And I don't know, maybe you can't see that. I have marked a pencil line. I think you can kind of see it there. Okay. Now I want that to go all the way down. So I can just put it up here and line it up with my cut line and hope that it's close. Or I can pull out these sight guides. At the top and at the bottom, there are sight guides that pull out, and they have a black line on them, and you can line up that line on that exactly where you want your blade to cut, and that's where your blade will cut up and down. Okay, so if I had a line down here, I would just line that up. See that white thing? That has a black line on it. So if you're wanting to cut like a straight border out or something and you want to go right along the edge of that border, you can match up these sight lines and just run them right along it and make sure that that's your paper's right where you want it to cut exactly on that line. And then they just tuck right back in at the top and the bottom. But just don't forget that they're there, and you can pull them down and move them and make sure that your cut's going to be right where you want it. Okay, now I think that's all on the top. I think you saw me replace the blade. Just open that up, pull it out, and then all you have to do is flip over your trimmer and look at there. Storage for all of our blades. Okay, even a couple extras. Hopefully they'll come out with some more. You just have to push it. I push it with my thumb. Some people have trouble getting these out. You just push it with your thumb from the outside. I tend to don't have any problems with that. Pull your blade out, stick it in the housing. I usually do the writing towards the large side. I don't know that it makes a lot of difference, but that's the way I do it. Just drop it in and close it up. And all you have to do is put your paper down. And you have a cool little edge. And I think we have 9 different blades currently. Of course, we have the straight blade. And this is Victorian. We have a stamping blade, colonial, wave, scoring blade, which is a must-have, a deco, perforating, scallop, and pinking. And you may want to watch one of my other videos on how I use the perforating blade to make lines on a journal box. Someone else was showing this one time to me, and they did lines on a journal box, and that way you don't have to draw all the pencil lines. So that can be, there's also a space back here for an extra mat. It'll clip right under these clips here, and you can keep an extra mat in there as well. So all at your fingertips, okay? Very handy, very well made. I love it, you know, I love our trimmer. And I don't think I've ever had anyone say it's not a good trimmer. It really is, and I would be happy to help some of you if you have any questions in regards to it. Here's a little guide for the 16ths and stuff up here that I gave everybody one time. We just stuck them on there so we would have them. But if you watch some of our videos, you'll see how we make diamonds and triangles and all kinds of things using, you know, the 45-degree angle. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful trimmer. And I hope that you enjoy yours as much as I have enjoyed mine. So I hope you take this and use it. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, super sassy Sunday and a great week, okay? Mother's Day's next weekend. Don't forget to get yourself a present. Stay sassy. Bye-bye.